Forbes just released their 2025 Most Powerful Women in Sports list, and Angel Reese is absolutely losing her mind. Why? Because Caitlin Clark landed at number 4, sitting alongside team owners and executives, making Clark the most powerful athlete on the list, while Reese did not even make the cut. We are talking about a season worth $8.1 million that changed everything. But here is what is really wild. This is not the first time Reese has shown jealousy toward Clark's success. From college to the pros, there has been a pattern of resentment that is impossible to ignore. Let me break down exactly what happened. But before that, if you support Caitlin, then comment the phrase baby goat over baby giraffe down below. Here's what makes this Forbes ranking so different from any other sports award you've seen. Forbes did not rank Clark based on her jump shot or her assists per game. They ranked her alongside billion-dollar team owners and Fortune 500 executives based on pure business power. The only women who ranked above Clark were actual billionaires and people who own entire sports franchises. That's the company she is keeping at just 23 years old. Clark did not just make a list of athletes. She was ranked as the 4th most powerful woman in all of sports, sitting next to executives who run massive corporations. While most WNBA newcomers struggle to make 6 figures in their entire careers, Clark pulled in $8.1 million in her first season alone. Her WNBA salary was only $70,000. That means she made 115 times her actual basketball salary through endorsements and business deals. Let's talk about where this money actually came from. Nike made a massive bet on Clark with a signature shoe deal that is structured completely different from any traditional WNBA endorsement. Gatorade signed her to a strategic partnership that treats her like an NBA superstar. Wilson gave her a sports equipment deal that recognizes her as the face of women's basketball. These are not small sponsorship deals. These are the kind of partnerships usually reserved for LeBron James or Steph Curry. Here is where it gets really wild. Clark's income dwarfs what veteran WNBA players make after decades in the league. The average WNBA salary hovers around $120,000. Players who have been grinding for 10 or 15 years in this league are making less in their entire careers than Clark made in endorsements during her rookie season. Subbard played 21 seasons in the WNBA. Diana Taurasi has been dominating for over 2 decades. Clark made more money in 1 year than most of these legends see in multiple seasons combined. Forbes used specific criteria that put Clark above established sports executives and team owners. They looked at her ability to drive revenue, her influence on media deals, her impact on attendance figures, and her power to move markets. The magazine recognized that Clark operates as her own business empire. She does not just play basketball. She drives entire economic ecosystems around women's sports. Clark's Nike deal structure differs completely from traditional WNBA endorsements. Most WNBA players get small appearance fees and maybe some free gear. Clark got a signature shoe line, massive guaranteed payments, and revenue-sharing agreements. Nike is betting that Clark can sell shoes like Jordan sells shoes. That is a level of confidence the company has never shown in a women's basketball player before. But here is the most mind-bending part. Clark's earnings exceeded some franchise valuations in women's sports. There are entire WNBA teams worth less than what Clark made in 1 year alone. She is not just a player anymore. She is operating at the financial level of people who own teams and run sports leagues. Forbes ranked Clark as a business empire disguised as a 23-year-old phenom. They recognize that her influence extends way beyond basketball skills. Clark connects with fans in ways that drive new audiences to women's basketball. She makes casual sports fans tune in. She gets little girls asking their parents for basketball gear. She turns WNBA games into must-watch television. The recognition acknowledges Clark's hard work and dedication, but also her unique ability to expand markets. When Clark plays, viewership spikes. When she visits opposing arenas, ticket prices jump. When she posts on social media, engagement numbers explode. Forbes measures that kind of economic impact, and Clark delivers it consistently. This financial dominance explains exactly why certain players might feel threatened by Clark's rapid ascent. While they are fighting for recognition and respect within traditional basketball circles, Clark is operating in completely different economic territory. She is not competing with other WNBA players for endorsement scraps. She is competing with Fortune 500 executives for business influence. That is a different league entirely, and some people clearly do not like being left behind. Let's address the pattern that started way before this Forbes announcement. Angel Reese's reaction to Clark's Forbes recognition was not an isolated incident. This is the latest chapter in a jealousy story that goes back years. From their college rivalry to subtle social media digs, Ree has consistently positioned herself as Clark's equal while the market says otherwise. The timeline reveals everything you need to know. During their college years, whenever Clark dominated headlines with record-breaking performances, Ree made sure to insert herself into the conversation. When Clark was breaking scoring records at Iowa, Ree would post workout videos or make statements about her own game. When Clark got national media attention for her three-point shooting, Ree suddenly started talking about being underrated and overlooked. The WNBA draft showed the first clear signs of this pattern. Clark was selected first overall by Indiana. The media coverage was massive. Endorsement deals started rolling in immediately. Meanwhile, Ree went 7th overall to Chicago and watched Clark dominate every conversation about the rookie class. That is when the subtle digs really started ramping up. Reese's attempts to create her own signature moments often coincided with Clark's biggest achievements. When Clark signed her massive Nike deal, Ree announced her Reebok partnership just days later. When Clark had her breakout WNBA performances, Reese would schedule social media content or interviews. The timing was not accidental. She was trying to ride the wave of attention that Clark naturally generated. Here is where it gets really telling. Reese launched her Reebok shoe campaign during WNBA All-Star Weekend. That is the exact same weekend Clark could not play due to injury and ticket prices plummeted. While Clark's absence proved her massive drawing power, Ree tried to capitalize on the moment. But the market response told the real story. Her promotional push did not move the needle the way Clark's organic popularity does. The contrast between Clark's authentic brand partnerships and Reese's promotional efforts shows up in every deal. Clark's Nike signature shoe line came about because fans were demanding her merchandise. Companies approached her because she was driving real consumer interest. Reese's endorsement deals feel more manufactured. Companies sign her hopping to capture some of Clark's magic, but the authentic fan connection just is not there at the same level. Reese's public statements about recognition and respect often seem directed at Clark's success. When Clark got praised for elevating women's basketball, Ree would talk about how multiple players deserve credit. When Clark received individual honors, Ree would emphasize team accomplishments. She consistently positioned herself as the alternative narrative to Clark's story. The timing of Reese's business announcements consistently followed Clark's major deals. Clark signs with Gatorade, then Ree announces a beverage partnership. Clark gets featured in major ad campaigns. Then Ree posts about her own endorsement work. She has been playing catch-up from day one, trying to match Clark's momentum with her own announcements. Social media tells the whole story. Reese's posts often reference being overlooked or underappreciated, especially after Clark receives major recognition. The subtext is always there. When Clark breaks attendance records, Ree talks about her own impact on the game. When Clark gets national TV features, Ree emphasizes her role in growing women's basketball. Social signals back up the pattern. The most recent example proves the pattern. After Forbes named Clark the most powerful female athlete, Reese's response was not congratulations or support. Her actions and comments were widely interpreted as another reaction to Clark's success rather than genuine acknowledgement of her achievements. The Forbes snub was not random. The magazine confirmed what the market already knew about who drives real value in women's basketball. They looked at measurable impact, revenue generation, and cultural influence. Clark excelled in every category, while Ree did not even register on their radar. Value was clear. The jealousy plays out in measurable economic terms every single day. Clark's games draw higher viewership. Her merchandise sells faster. Her social media engagement rates are higher. Companies pay more to associate with her brand. The market has spoken clearly about who drives the most value in women's basketball, but some people clearly struggle to accept that reality. Want to know how powerful Clark really is? Let's look at what happened when she wasn't there. The WNBA learned a harsh lesson about their economic engine when Clark got injured before All-Star Weekend. The league discovered they had built their entire marketing strategy around one player. And when she could not play, everything fell apart. Ticket prices dropped 48% overnight, proving that Clark was not just another player. She was the entire draw. All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis went from premium pricing at $121 per ticket to desperate selling at $64. Fans who were willing to pay top dollar to see Clark suddenly lost interest when she got hurt. The market spoke loud and clear about who people actually wanted to watch. The viewership numbers tell an even bigger story. The 2025 All-Star Game suffered a 36% drop in viewership without Clark, falling from 3.44 million viewers down to 2.19 million. That is over 1 million people who tuned out because Clark was not playing. The WNBA had never seen numbers drop that dramatically for a single player's absence. Clark's games consistently outperformed league averages throughout her first 2 seasons. The WNBA averaged 657,000 viewers per game during 2024, but that number was heavily skewed by Clark's appearances. When Indiana played, viewership spiked dramatically. The league managed to get 22 games with more than 1 million viewers across major networks like ABC, ESPN, CBS, and NBA TV. Most of those featured Clark. Here is where the numbers get absolutely wild. Clark drove 26.5% of the WNBA's total economic activity in just her debut season. One player generated over a quarter of the league's entire financial activity. She was not just contributing to the WNBA's success. She was carrying the league's economic growth on her shoulders. Attendance spikes at away games when Clark's team visited other cities proved her drawing power extended beyond Indiana. Ticket sales increased by 93% compared to 2023. According to StubHub data, visiting arenas saw their biggest crowds of the season when the Fever came to town. Clark was selling out buildings across the country just by showing up. Merchandise sales and sponsorship deals increased league-wide because of Clark's presence. Other teams started benefiting from the attention she brought to women's basketball. Sponsors who signed with the WNBA were not just betting on the league. They were betting on Clark's ability to deliver eyeballs and engagement. Her rising tide lifted other boats throughout the organization. The comparison to what other marquee players generated for the league shows Clark's unique impact. Angel Reese's games did not create the same viewership spikes. Other players in the same class did not drive the same attendance increases. Veterans with years of experience could not match Clark's ability to move markets. The data revealed a massive gap between Clark and everyone else. The LPGA immediately capitalized on Clark's cross-sport appeal, while the WNBA initially resisted maximizing her star power. Golf executives paired Clark with Nelly Korda at the Pelican Golf Club Pro-Am within hours of her showing interest. They created golf clinics and media campaigns to showcase her skills. The LPGA adjusted programming schedules and created strategic partnerships faster than the WNBA figured out how to market their own superstar. The WNBA's marketing efforts were criticized for missed opportunities to maximize Clark's star power during her first season. While the LPGA embraced Clark and set an example of how leagues can support star athletes beyond their primary sport, the WNBA struggled to fully leverage what they had. Other organizations recognized Clark's value before her own league did. Clark wasn't just playing basketball. She was single-handedly expanding the entire market for women's sports. Her $8.1 million rookie season income from deals with Nike, Wilson, and Gatorade signaled a shift in how female athletes are valued. Companies started viewing women's sports as legitimate investment opportunities because Clark proved the audience existed. This economic dominance translates into lasting industry change that extends far beyond individual games or seasons. Clark established new benchmarks for what female athletes can earn and accomplish commercially. The Forbes ranking made it official. Clark isn't competing with other players anymore. She's competing with business mogul and team owners. She sits at number 4 alongside executives who run billion-dollar companies and own entire franchises. That is not basketball territory. That is pure business power. While others focus on basketball rivalries, Clark is building a sports empire that will outlast any single season or career. Her Nike deals, Gatorade partnerships, and massive endorsements create lasting value. She is establishing herself as a permanent fixture in sports business, not just women's basketball. The real question is not whether Clark deserves this recognition. The question is whether the rest of women's basketball can keep up with the standards she is setting. If you support Caitlin, then comment baby goat over baby giraffe down below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen and we will see you in the next one.